Hello my friends! In this video I'll show you how to paint a composition with cactuses. What is interesting about cactuses is the huge variety for this plant, and what is also fascinating, it's no doubt about it, the flower. And I'm saying this because recently I've seen it and that was my inspiration for today's painting. I'm starting my composition as usual with a sketch, and for this I'm using a very small brush and I'm just positioning each of the plant, and I'm also sketching the shape. And here you can see how I am slicing up each of the cactus to give it a little bit of a texture. Don't worry if the lines are not perfectly straight and parallel, they don't have to be, and later on we will come with multiple layers and we will redefine the lines that I'm doing right now. I am adding two more, one that is round here and another one that is smaller behind it. Now that the composition is done, let's move on to the next step. And now we're adding the color. I'm using the same brush, but here you can use a bigger brush and that will give you the advantage of working faster. As I said before, for the lines we will come with multiple layers and we will do and then refine those lines in order to give it the proper texture. I'm adding here another line and one more in between. Now moving on to the second cactus, and this one I want to be a little bit more green than the other one, so I've used the same color for the first one, but I added just a little bit of a green and a hint of yellow. Not too much, but to create a little bit of a distinction. And I'm doing the same step for the second one with a white. I am redrawing the lines that I did before. Some of them are thicker, some of them are more or less visible. Okay, and now I'm moving towards the third one. And here I've changed the color again, very little, just to create a little bit of variety. And of course I'm adding my white stripes. My fourth cactus is a round one, but we're gonna follow the same steps. So first I will fill everything with a green color. For this, I mix green and the color, the bluish color that I used for the other ones. Okay, so now that it's everything done, I'm adding a few accents with white, and I'm going back and forth as I'm doing it. Here, I'm not doing straight lines, but I'm doing more of a curved line to suggest the fact that it has a volume. Again, we will come later on and we will add more. Okay, now I'm doing the fifth one and the lines here. Okay, now here is another one that is a round one, a little darker, and the final one, and the accents. For the next step, I will use black and I will apply it in the areas that are darker in order to create more contrast. I am going along the lines that I did before, but this time I am enhancing it. And I want the bottom to be darker than the top part. That's why my lines are gonna be thicker at the bottom. here my lines are not irregular, and sometimes they're discontinued line. This is an effect that I want to create in purpose. It creates a more artistic look. And for this, I have to apply different pressure on my brush. I'm doing the same thing for the second one. But this time I want to create a little bit of a separation. That's why I did that line. Now I'm adding another one here. It's a little wavy line. And I'm moving on towards the next one. I forgot to mention this is acrylic on paper. Of course, you can use any kind of support that you like and any kind of medium that you prefer. If you're using oil, then take care that it dries slower, so you have to wait in between each layer, probably 1 or 2 days, depend on the temperature, and then you can move on towards the other layer. For the round cactus, I'm doing the same thing. I'm applying my accents, and I'm adding a little bit more here on the top, and I'm moving on to cactus number 5. For this cactus, I'm going again along the lines that I did before, and I do the same thing for the little one here. Few curvy lines. And for this one, just a few accents on top. Okay, and now I'm moving on to the next step, which is very similar with what I did before, but this time I'm going to use white to place my highlights. I'm going along the black lines, and I'm putting here and there a few accents. So, as I mentioned before, the most beautiful part of a cactus plant is the flower, and I had the chance of seeing it. They're just amazing, and they have different colors. They're very intense. I didn't smell it though. I was a little concerned to getting too close, and of course you know why. But yes, if you do have the chance to see the flowers when they're open, they don't last too long. They last probably 1 day, and then the next day the flowers disappear, so you don't have a lot of time to see them. But yes, they're beautiful, and that was my inspiration for today's painting. I said, no, they're too beautiful, and I need to paint it. As I'm finishing up my highlights, I'm getting ready for the next step, and that is, of course, the flowers. For my flowers, I've chosen a dusty pink, but of course for yours you can choose any color that you like, and you have here a huge selection. You can use reds, you can use orange, yellow, again will look very beautiful. Purple, even blue, dark blue will look very beautiful too. So anything that you like, and also you can use different colors for each cactus, different colors of flowers. That's another great option. Now I'm adding different flowers. Some are bigger, some are smaller. And on top of it, I will add another layer of petals. For this, I've changed the color a little bit. I added more red into the previous color to create a little bit of a contrast and to suggest that the flower it's open and this layer is closer to me. This is the fun part where I'm adding the spikes, and for this I'm using little dots with white. I'm going in particular above the areas that I painted with black before. Now, what is interesting, and I've noticed this on the cactuses that I've seen, they have a very dense web of spikes. It's it's impossible. It's impossible to touch the cactuses in any way. I was wondering how difficult it is to plant a cactus if you want to do that, because they're very beautiful and decorative. And I believe you have to wear special gloves to protect your hands. Okay, so moving on with the dots, I'm adding here my dots on the second cactus. Not trying to make them round, but sometimes they look like a star, sometimes they look like dots. They're bigger, they're smaller, and that's the beauty of a cactus. Okay, adding more dots here. The brush that I'm using now, it's helping me a lot. It has a very fine tip, and I'm using mostly the tip to create the dots. For this cactus, I'm doing things a little different. On the top, I'm adding dots, and towards the bottom, I'm adding stars. This is a different way of adding spikes. Of course, it's not wrong if we continue with the dots. We can do dots everywhere. Now I'm jumping around towards the other cactuses, and that's okay too. I'm adding here some stars, some dots, and I'm moving towards this one, the forgotten cactus, and I'm putting a few layers here too. For the end, I'm going to add some splashes, and for this I will load my brush with black, and then I will rub my finger through it. That adds a little bit more of a character, and it's fun too, of course. There you have it. This is my composition with cactuses. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did, and see you next time with another fun project. Bye bye!